this is the final stage before it gets in the case, right?
Correct. This is the final inspection here at Gibson. The guitar's already been inspected as far as the paint job and the fretwork goes. So what we do is we look at the guitar after it has been built and adjusted here in final assembly. Since building involves putting the hardware on the guitar, you have to look at the hardware and make sure that it's the correct hardware, first of all. Don't want to have gold pickups with chrome tuning gears. So outside of obvious things like that, you have to make sure that the pickups are in the correct position and that they're even with each other, that they're not tilted off to one side or going at odd angles. The tuning gears likewise have to all be on straight. They have to be fastened securely and not crooked. And you also check the rest of it to make sure, you have to get down to like knobs and colors of the switch tip and things on that order to make sure that all the hardware is the correct hardware for this model of guitar and it is properly installed. You also have to check the electronics to make sure that they function properly. You have to test the pickup volume, make sure that it's smooth, doesn't crackle. You have to test the tone, make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do. And the selector switch is getting the bridge, both, and neck pickup. After that, you have to check what the adjusters do. The adjusters install the bridge hardware and the tailpiece hardware. They install the strings on the bridge and then they have to notch them, so you have to make sure that those strings are going to stay in the bridge. And you also have to get your ruler out and check the alignment to make sure that all the strings are correctly spaced. You have to look at that alignment of the string over the pickup pole piece to make sure that the string passes over each of the pole pieces, because that's important for the string balance from string to string to be proper. Then you have to go up here and you have to check to see how they've shaped the nut. As it comes off of the Plek machine, it's rather rough looking, so you have to take some additional material off of it and you have to clean it up and smooth it out and not shine it all up nice and pretty. You have to then check the adjustment of the neck, which we do by pressing the string down at the 1st and the 15th fret and swinging over here to check and see how much bounce there is at the 7th fret. Has to be a little bit, probably about the thickness of a business card. And then you check the height of the string to make sure that that meets the recommended company distance off of the frets right here. Then you go up here and check that distance again at the string nut, make sure that that meets the company specifications. Then of course you get to play it. But that isn't quite as sexy as it sounds, because you have a test that you have to do, and that's play we call it the Gibson song. The Gibson song goes like this.
I know that song.
And when you carry that all the way up the neck, then you have to do what we call a bend splat, because sometimes a string will note true when you play it dead on, but when you bend the note, the string won't, it'll choke in the middle of the neck. It'll die out because it'll hit a high spot that's caused because the radius of the fret is not proper. Something's happened to make one fret higher in the middle than it needs to be. You also have to check to make sure that that treble E string is going to stay in its bridge saddle slot when you do your Albert King bend. And if you got a little time, you can jam. But after that, make sure it's got a truss rod cover on, and then it's on to filling out the warranty card, the shipping label, and putting it in front of shipping and receiving, because we got a lot of back orders for these guitars. About 1,200 last time I checked for just our division alone, and so we got to get that guitar out the door and to the lucky owner.
It's a real pleasure to see how these guitars are put together here at Gibson Custom Memphis. I'm Joe Coffey, and you're watching PremierGuitar.com.